in a knowledge society that we are moving in, if the 600 million youth of our country are adequately equipped with education and skills, India would be a superpower in every sense of the term. Because in a knowledge society, knowledge is power. It's the human material. Look at these 600 million youth. When the rest of the world, America, Europe, they are all of the 60 plus age group. The younger folk are very limited numbers. The productive age group of Indians, whereas 600 million, 18, 19, 20-year-old, 30 years, 40 years of productivity, engineers, doctors. Unfortunately, we have produced such brilliant engineers, doctors, management experts, not perhaps lawyers. Most of them, they have migrated to Europe and America. If all the doctors and if we can find opportunities in our country for developing our abilities as available in other countries, one sees in Gujarat, for example, opportunities developing. That's why the secret of growth of Gujarat. But whether the growth is distributed equally amongst the tribal people of Gujarat, the backward sections of the community, is a question. That's a function of the constitution and the governance system. So what I mean to tell you is that we are in a critical stage in the evolution of the republic. We have a constitution which can carry us united for another 100 or 200 years into future. But I used to ask the students, for example, let me ask you, you have been the compare. What makes you say that you are a
great sacrifices which leaders made for our country and provided us with the constitution?
I am asking you, leaders have sacrificed. India is born. India is all, but how do you claim that you are an Indian? Because you are born in India?
Yes, I have citizenship of India. I have ample of opportunities in India.
Citizenship in India, you are born in India, that makes me an Indian. Anyone else? Among the students who would like to say, what makes you an Indian? Somebody should get up and give an answer. No? No answer?
Yes.
Born in India, I am a citizen of India. My parents are Indian, so I am an Indian. Is that? What makes a Punjabi, a Malayali, a Madrasi, a Gujarati, all Indians?
Culture of India makes...
Culture. Is the culture of India different from the culture of Pakistan or Bangladesh?
In various ways it is.
It's the same. We were all one country. It's the same culture. So by culture you cannot say that we distinguish ourselves as Indians.
Perhaps constitution, sir.
Constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Indians because of the constitution. Otherwise, like Yugoslavia, we would have become Punjabi Suba and DMK will have Tamil Nadu, some other country, and without Sardar Patel being there, we would have easily disintegrated because we are a country of diversities. In everything we are different. Food, language, religion, name it. The foreigners are amazed as to how these Indians are living together. They are diverse in every respect. So they thought we will disintegrate by our own. The Britishers really felt so. That's why, Churchill said that we don't deserve. So we are not democratic also. We are feudal in our outlook. Lot of obscurantism. People consider even rituals as religion because we have freedom of faith. One can profess, propagate, practice everything. Guaranteed right. With all that diversity, with all that thing, if a Madrasi and a Punjabi seem to be of one nationality, it is the Constitution of India. Thanks to our constitution makers, our freedom fighters, who have given us a constitution which can bring unity in diversity, which with one citizenship can make, despite here and there agitations for separation and things like that. Be that as it may, I believe that the school of law which you have started this year, you are lucky being the first batch, because your teachers, your principal, the society trustees, Patelji will all be looking forward. These are the ambassadors who will take forward the name of this R.N. Patel Ipkowala School of Law and Justice. Therefore, you will be well looked after. You will have the attention of all your teachers. You will be promoted day and night to become one of the first-rate law scholars of the country. Therefore, you are fortunate. But if you fail to do that, you can bring down the reputation of the school also, because of the first batch. So therefore, understand and appreciate your responsibility, rise to the occasion, inspired by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and the place where you are having this, your education. I was just wondering, because Sardar Patel was known for his statesmanship and governance. And therefore, I wish that this school is known as the School of Law and Governance. Because today, we lack good governance. We lack respect for rule of law. We would therefore be doing a great service in governance of the country. So with so much of diversity, it's not easy to govern the country. And today, with coalition politics, you know it is very difficult. We need to see how by appropriate laws and legal institutions, we can offer to our people a better system of governance. We're keeping in mind the center-state differences, keeping in mind that governance is organized at three levels: the federal level, the state level, and the local level, the Gram Sabha level. This is a challenge. And this law school would be researching on, will be teaching constitutional law in such a manner as to devise an appropriate mechanism whereby we will not break each other's head if we have a river water dispute. Kaveri, the Tamilians attack the Kannadigas kill the Tamilians. You spend crores of rupees fighting cases after cases, and water flows through the river into the Arabian Sea. What stupidity. Can we not govern and solve this? Is it beyond our intelligence or capacity? Therefore, it is necessary to emphasize on the role of law in governance. How scarce resources can be utilized for the common good. How institutions can be developed to establish appropriate rapport for greater productivity and improved quality of life of our people. This is a matter of foresight. This is a matter of intelligent application. This is having a sight of a vision. The vision is given by the Constitution. So to my mind, I don't know, it is too late, but you can have a school of law and governance. Because this will be reflected in your curriculum, this will be reflected in your teaching methods, your research pursuits, and a variety of related things. Be that as it may, I learned from this short little prospectus which Arunachalam gave me yesterday that Sardar Patel dreamt about a prosperous, independent India, for which he identified 4 strategies. And I read it from this book. The strategies that he proposed were: he dreamt of a modern and prosperous independent India in terms of regeneration of villages. Gandhiji also thought about it. He is also from Gujarat, as you know. So, regeneration of villages, not regeneration of Ahmedabad, but villages. 2, establishment of institutions of modern education. Without education in a knowledge era, what are you going to achieve? And good quality education, because we are globalizing. So whether you are competitive excellence, not that you are giving education, but education which is producing people who are unemployable, is a wastage of resources. I'm talking of higher education. So higher education must provide competitive excellence, where you can market your talents, if not here in Chicago or New York or Sydney, because it's a globalized world. High quality education, whether it is engineering or medicine or law or philosophy or history. So thirdly, advanced agriculture. Which lawyer is concerned about agriculture? Which judge is concerned with agriculture? Has the legal community any understanding of agriculture? Thank God, we have become self-sufficient in agriculture. If agriculture, our farmers did not produce enough grains to feed 1.3 billion people, you know what a calamity we would have had? Can we import? Of course, oil we cannot produce like that. Agriculturists cannot produce oil. Even then they are producing biogas and this, that and the other to conserve energy. So therefore, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel thought about not only regenerating villages, but modern advanced agriculture, and finally 4 cooperative ventures. Today's capitalist method of development depends on the market very heavily, and market is a competitive mechanism. Whereas Vallabhbhai Patel thought about a cooperative mechanism instead of a competitive mechanism. But when the world has become competitive, we cannot afford to be less competitive. There are areas in which we have competitive competence, we should be competitive. But when we think about the village economy, when we think about the agricultural development, when we think about the cooperative societies, by cooperatives what can be achieved is a miracle again demonstrated from Anand. People have heard about IIM Ahmedabad. Very few people have heard about Irma. Management can be effective. I talked about governance. Governance at the state level is management at the industry level or at the agriculture level. So cooperatives as a method of increasing productivity, of increasing the efficiency of human institutions, have been discovered, tested and proved right in Anand in the matter of dairy production, white revolution. I should think that if we have the capacity in the matters of dairy development, perhaps malnutrition would not have afflicted our children to such an extent as a recent study has shown. Prime Minister has released that study. 53% of our children are malnourished. Shame. What do you mean by malnourished? Your development potential to develop your capacities, intellectual abilities are undermined. You will be an underlearner. You may die before you are reaching the age of 5. Even if you survive, you will not be able to study putting all your efforts. Even if you give nourishment afterwards, you will not achieve your full potential. Is it because we lack resources that we keep undernourished children, half-starved, send them to school, and they are going to school because they provide midday meal, otherwise no meal? Where do we invest in a knowledge society? In human resources? Yes. Therefore, law will have to look into all these things. So the Constitution commands the state in the directive principles of state policy. If the state has neglected, and I accuse, in publicly in some of the forum which people criticize me, that Pandit Nehru is responsible for keeping our children illiterate. There was a directive principle of state policy which said that within 10 years of freedom, 10 years, no other article in the Constitution says. Article 44 said that within 10 years of freedom, every child in India will have to be compulsorily free education, primary education up to the age of 14 years. And at that time the child population was hardly about 130 million or so. With much little investment, we could have accomplished it. But today, India houses the largest illiterate population in the world. And in illiterate population with half-nourished, malnourished people, what are you going to accomplish? Where is the demographic dividend? Why did this not happen in India at that time? Yes, Pandit Nehru wanted temples of Indian temples or Bhakra Dam and the Bhilai plant and all that, perhaps good. But could you have neglected this directive of the Constitution? And we had to fight for 65 long years to be able to get right of education as a fundamental right, from directive principle to fundamental right. And that too because of the repeated intervention of the Supreme Court. I don't know, some people told me, well Menon, don't you realize that if people are educated, they will not be vote banks. They will apply their intelligence. So there is a conspiracy of keeping the people illiterate. Therefore, sir, Patelji, what you are doing here is a great service. Go out, branch out to every village where there is illiteracy and give at least, assist the implementation of Right to Education Act. Let the society take an activist role to advise the government here to ensure that if you want vibrant Gujarat, you cannot have even 10% of Gujaratis illiterate. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would venture to suggest, and I did suggest to Arunachalam, that perhaps some other law school, Harvard Law School, you should innovate of a socially relevant legal curriculum that will serve the half of India which was neglected for 68 years by the legal community. What does it mean? The students are listening to me. Are you forcing us to go and live in the villages? Can we not work in the corporate sector and make money? Why should you deny us when others are doing it? A relevant question. You know, it is not that our people are poor. The people are poor because of their ignorance. You know, in order to get access to justice, justice is everybody needs that. Who doesn't need justice? And law just is an instrument of that justice. And lawyers and judges are purveyors, agents to make law serve the cause of justice. And if there is a large section of the community, if you read Arjun Sengupta's report, which was released in 2010, he says nearly 70% of Indians are living in less than, the poverty line. It's a question of where you draw the poverty line. If that is the case, given the resources that we command today, can we not make this miracle happen to give the elementary right to live with dignity, right to health, right to education, the basic necessities for human survival? Can we not to give to our countrymen through an instrumentality of law? Or do you want a revolution like the Maoist revolution, killing people? That is even essentially to happen. In fact, some of the foreigners ask me, Menon, how is it that in your country with extreme poverty and exploitation of forest dwellers, this and that, there is no violent revolution? It should have happened. And I say, no, Indians are God-fearing people. Many of them told me that, look, I am suffering because in the last Janma I did some sins and therefore I am suffering. Perhaps if I suffer in the next Janma, I may have a better life. So fatalistic. That's what we are made to believe. Therefore, you have a great role to play. I am throwing some challenges, I don't have the answer. But such inspired teachers and such motivated students, with the wisdom of Mr. Patel and his colleagues in the trust, should be able to find a socially relevant, innovative legal curriculum as developed in management sciences in IRMA to happen in the School of Law in this institution. Well, while I was, I have a feeling, the legal profession has failed the Indian community and in the Indian society. And you may remember at the time when Dr. Ambedkar presented the draft constitution in the Constituent Assembly, he mentioned, look, we have achieved political justice because after Swaraj, we gave every person a value. One person, one value. Everyone has a right to vote, contest elections, come to power. Therefore, to a large extent, by a stroke of a pen, we have given political justice. And he said, if we do not as quickly as possible bring about social justice and economic justice, our political justice is in jeopardy. This is what he said while presenting the constitution. What he meant was that the basic necessities of life is denied to a large number of people and let them die an unnatural death in their infancy. We may not be able to keep this freedom and liberty and democracy for long. If we have continued to do that, maybe because of the goodness of the Indian people. But as lawyers, we cannot let that happen, because wherever there is injustice, people say that there is injustice elsewhere also. Justice cannot be the monopoly of few Indians who can buy legal services. In order to access legal services or access justice in India, you need, according to Justice Bhagavati, 3 A's. The first A is awareness, that you have rights, you have entitlements, you can claim it as a right, not anybody's charity or welfare. That is guaranteed. People do not know anything. Some people in the villages do not know that we have become independent also. There are some people who believe that, British is continuing to govern. In such a situation, without awareness, nobody knows that you are being victimized. If you do not pay the minimum wage to a worker, because there are so many unemployed workers, so in a market like that, if you pay 20 rupees, he will come for a day's job. So you pay 20 rupees. He doesn't know that he is being victimized, that he has a means to get 65 rupees or 100 rupees, whatever is the minimum wage. So ignorance of law, there is no way in our system to get justice. Even if you are aware of your rights, if you cannot afford the cost of accessing justice or where to access justice, that means affordability is another condition for accessing justice. In the name of legal aid, the state is giving a lawyer here and there, but that is not affordability. Let me leave it that. I was talking about the constitutional goals that you have to fulfill, which only through law we can fulfill. The other objective, other method is revolution. You know, we unashamedly say that about 150 districts of India are under Maoist control, where rule of law will not apply. 60 years after freedom. Why did that happen? Because there was no justice, no development for them. Waited for long. We will also be doing that if that happens to us. It is human tendency. We can't blame them. It's not by police action you can suppress them. Anyway, they will die. So it is better to die fighting. So this message will have to be taken if you want to strengthen law, rule of law, democracy and human rights in our country. Otherwise, it will be all these wonderful things we have achieved during the last 60 years will be in jeopardy. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I would submit to you that the constitutional transformation that was promised by the preamble to the Constitution, the fundamental rights, the directive principles should be constantly be brought to the attention of the politicians who forget about their duties after they have won the elections. I don't know how many of them have read the Constitution. They take oath in the Constitution, and many of the recent politicians are born after the country's independence. So they don't have the feel of what the freedom struggle has been. Neither they read history nor they read Constitution. And they are busy making their own money. So therefore the point that I am trying to drive home is the responsibility of the legal community. I do not know whether the Bar Council of India will be able to think inspired by what I said, by the constitutional freedom struggle and things like that, and can develop a legal education curriculum that will suit the future of the country. The future, because the country means the future of the people who are denied justice. So therefore, I would plead to the Government of India to pass a Legal Education Act. Take away this power from the Bar Council of India. Only have them in a committee in which the Bar Council may say what is needed to be admitted as a litigating lawyer in court. But we are conceiving of lawyers or law-trained person as civil servants, as politicians, as policy developers, as paralegals. A variety of roles will have to be fulfilled by law-trained people. What has the Bar Council to do with that? So legal education has a much wider goal than what the Bar Council thinks, stitch a black coat, put on the gown and jump from court to court. What about those who have not come to the court? So I believe that we are bound to think of legal education in a radically different way that will serve the marginalized and the unserviced people of the time. I am saying this because I think, given the experiment of Irma, Anand is an appropriate place. Given the birthplace of Sardar Patel, who achieved miracles through law, Anand may be an appropriate place to try out this experiment of social transformation through the instrumentality of law by providing such lawyers who are sufficiently motivated and professionally equipped to bring about the transformation rather than merely litigating and procrastinating justice. So our idea or the concept of a future lawyer will have to change. I believe in the next 10 to 20 years there will be less and less lawyers in court and more lawyers in advising business, in planning, advising government, policy planning and a variety of other roles which would not necessitate them to take it to the court. And if there is a dispute in the process, they will be mediating, negotiating and settling it outside the court rather than drag on for years together and make the client a bankrupt. So therefore, already about 3 crore cases which some people say will take another 300 years to complete. So filing more and more petitions is denial of justice. And in the name of justice, keeping people hope for justice by the time you die. So your son will replace you, plead in the case and again conduct. So therefore litigation route is not